Welcome to How to HYPERBARIC podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Masha, and today I have with me Matteo Johnson from Axiom H2, and we'll talk about hydrogen. Hydrogen has been on YouTube. You'll see that there are a lot of searches. People really want to learn more, but there's not enough information. That's why most people I know who use hydrogen make mistakes in how they use it. That's why I asked Matteo, who is an absolute expert, to come to my podcast and answer all the questions that I have and that my listeners have. Welcome to the podcast, Matteo.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor and a privilege, and I'm very excited to deep dive into this topic.
Let's talk about hydrogen first. Why people search for hydrogen, why they look for hydrogen, what is it in the realm of natural medicine, health improvement, and disease prevention?
Sure. Well, what we've seen is that hydrogen is getting sought out by like a last-ditch effort. It's not typically people's first go-to. It's something that was recommended. They tried everything, and they traveled around the world, and then they're like, hey, maybe I'll try this, see if the hype's real or not. So that's unfortunately how we're getting found. But hydrogen is a molecule. It's not a drug. It's not a pharmaceutical. It's something 100% natural. And it acts like a selective, intelligent antioxidant. And meaning that it can selectively neutralize only the harmful things in our body while keeping all the other beneficial processes in place. And so that's one of the beautiful things about this molecule is it acts intelligently in each person's body, and it plays a role on a very deep level, on a cellular level. It also, not only neutralizing selective harmful reactive oxygen species, but it's improving electron flow in the mitochondria, which then results in better production of ATP production. It's helping to protect our DNA. It's helping to regulate gene expression. It's increasing intracellular hydration. It's reducing inflammation. It's improving neurological performance. And all this is done 100% non-toxic. And so it's safe to take with other medications, nearly all conditions. There's been no reported secondary effects. So it's very natural, very safe, and surprisingly effective.
Excellent. I'll do a little introduction from what I know about hydrogen, and correct me if I'm wrong. That's why I have you here, to
Sure.
pick your brain. But hydrogen is not a drug, which is important. Why? Because it means you don't need a prescription. It's an absolutely natural substance, but it's found in our body. We're supposed to produce hydrogen in our gut as a byproduct of digestion. Unfortunately, as we age and as we go through a lot of stress and we take antibiotics and things like that, our gut microbiome gets damaged, and a lot of people don't produce sufficient amount of hydrogen that they need. Yet, it's super important. You mentioned mitochondria and energy production cycle. So hydrogen is important for the proton pump. So without hydrogen, this whole energy production chain will stop. It's not just the hydrogen. We need oxygen, we need other things, but hydrogen is very important. And of course, its role as a selective antioxidant, it brings down inflammation. Because sometimes we say it's an antioxidant and it sounds like a fancy word, but what is it really? What do antioxidants do? So I think if we were to summarize it in 3 words, they bring down inflammation. And if somebody is not feeling well, they're inflamed. Trust me, every person who is sick or who is off has higher levels of inflammation than normal. So when people take hydrogen in different forms, and stay tuned because hydrogen can be taken in different forms, and we'll talk about it in a second. But first, Matteo, when people take hydrogen, how do they feel afterwards? I'll give you an example. When I do hyperbarics, I get more energy. But when you take hydrogen, what do you feel?
Well, it seems to be a little bit different for each person because it is supporting different processes that are stagnant in each individual. And so, for example, for myself, I normally feel mental clarity. I feel very sharp mentally. I feel clean energy. but not like caffeine energy, like a stimulant. Other people that, for example, we have a lot of clients that have chronic fatigue from years and years of bad sleep and disrupted sleep. So we'll see some people in the first week or two, they actually get a little tired and relaxed with hydrogen. Whereas other people, they might feel a little bit more energized and they're wired and they can work, throughout the night. So it really kind of supports the weakest areas in each person's body with what they have going on. So we've seen a lot of different things of mental clarity, drowsiness to boost of energy. So it's just providing your body extra energy to start the processes that it needs. And our bodies each know what we need. And some of us need energy, some of us need sleep, some of us need oxidation production to trigger other things, other of us need antioxidant production. So that's, again, one of the most brilliant and also mysterious things about this molecule being safe and being able to act intelligently in each person's body.
Does its effect depend on the dosage? For example, if you take too little, nothing happens, and maybe if you take too much, also it becomes toxic. I know you said that hydrogen, it's very difficult, it's very safe. It's very difficult to overdose on hydrogen. But does dose matter?
Yeah, dose does matter. And there is, throughout the studies, there's actually some studies that show with certain individuals, a lower dose seems to be more effective than a higher dose. Other individuals, they need a higher dose and a lower dose. So we don't have a clear-cut answer. It's not black and white that, hey, this higher dose works for everyone, this lower dose works for everyone. Also, body weight matters. A larger volume and mass of a person typically requires larger volumes of hydrogen to saturate their blood and their cells. And there is, through Molecular Hydrogen Institute, which we're kind of moving away from because we're finding out it's a lot of outdated information, unfortunately, and we want to use the most current studies. And so we are moving away from that platform as far as education. But through Molecular Hydrogen Institute, they claim that the minimum therapeutic dosage, for example, of hydrogen-rich water is 0.5 parts per million per liter of water. And so that's very important for people to understand when they are shopping products and they're trying to understand is that 0.5 ppm per liter is a big deal. A liter is a lot of water to drink. So ideally, you want to drink a lot less water but with a lot higher concentration. And so how to get clean hydrogen versus dirty hydrogen, and we can dive into that later. And same thing with the flow rate for an inhalation machine. I believe the lowest therapeutic amount is 150 milliliters per minute flow rate, and that's with a person maybe around 170 pounds. So there are a lot of different factors, and we haven't seen a consensus across the board that someone at this weight needs this amount to work because everyone is a bit different. But another point I want to add is that you cannot take too much. So
Mhm.
in general, people do like to have higher flow rates, higher parts per million in water because you can't have too much. And long as you're fully getting your blood saturated, that's the key. We want to hit maximum saturation in the blood. And so typically the higher flow rates underneath the explosive threshold is that kind of a Goldilocks zone where there's no risk of explosion, but we're doing a very high flow rate that could saturate everyone's blood, no matter what your body size is, within 10, 15 minutes.
I see. So let me quickly go back and ask some questions before we move into different forms of hydrogen. So hydrogen dose is calculated in parts per million or parts per, is it?
It could be used in parts per million or parts per billion when we're talking about saturation in water. And then typically in flow rate, far as gas volume, we normally are measured in cc's per minute or milliliters per minute.
And going back to water, it's also per liter of water, right? So how many
So
parts per billion, right, in a liter of, or in, if you measure it in ounces, I guess it's in ounces of water.
Yeah, so that's what, again, that's based off of the what I'd say getting to be a lot of outdated information from Molecular Hydrogen Institute is they claim zero point 0.5 ppm, which would be I believe 500 parts per billion per liter. And so, without busting out a calculator right now, we'll know that we need half a liter of water or even 8 ounces of water. We're going to need probably 3 to 4 times that amount of hydrogen for a smaller volume of water. And
Got
so, for example, our hydrogen rich water bottle here,
it.
we have the strongest bottle in the world. It only holds 350 milliliters of water in here, but we have third-party tests showing it can reach up to 25 parts per million. So that is way, way higher than any other bottle in the world or any other product in the world. So just at 350 milliliters or even less, you're going to hit those minimum therapeutic amounts and then exceed those as well.
I'd like to explain to my listeners why I'm asking those questions because sometimes I see patients that come to me for all different reasons, and sometimes they've already tried therapies like hydrogen therapy, and they come and they say, "Well, I did hydrogen, but it did nothing for me. I didn't feel anything." Many times, it's actually the dosage that they didn't hit the right dosage for them or the big enough dosage. Other times, it could be the form of hydrogen. So let's talk about three different forms hydrogen can come in that we can take. And please go ahead. What are those?
So the main three forms, there's a few other ones, but the main three are going to be inhalation, and that's what I would tout as one of the best. Then there's hydrogen-rich water. There's different ways to make that, and there's what I would call clean and dirty ways to make hydrogen-rich water. And then there's a few different forms of tablets out on the market where typically through a chemical reaction, you can get hydrogen produced in liquid, or we have our specific form with Axiom H2, which uses dry water technology, and we can dive into that later. Those are the main forms, and then some more new age forms that they're experimenting with is saline injections of hydrogen, and then IV injections of hydrogen, and then they're also doing hydrogen-rich baths to soak through the skin as well.
Hydrogen-rich bath, isn't it something that was used a lot in last century at specific places where they did baths with? Um,
Yeah, and Japan and Korea have really used hydrogen more for the baths and the beauty industry than for disease management or sports performance. But just for the beauty aspect, it does a wonderful job at helping with collagen production, reducing fine lines, hydrating the skin, and transdermally, it's a great way to direct route into the bloodstream. And I believe the research shows that baths actually saturate your blood faster than drinking the water. So it's a wonderful form. And we actually just finished some white papers with a new jacuzzi hydrogen product that we've used that has tremendous results. You relax in a bathtub for 45 minutes, and we can actually see measurable results through diagnostic technology.
Excellent. So, does the form in which you get hydrogen sort of correlates with the effects that you're trying to get? And quickly, example again to see where I'm going. If we, for a moment, think about a different product, methylene blue, which also acts on mitochondria, which is synergized with hydrogen really well. So, people who use hydrogen can also use methylene blue and vice versa. But for skin, specifically for skin anti-aging effects, creams with methylene blue work really well. But for systemic, for mitochondrial, you need to take it internally. Is it the same with hydrogen? Like you'll do the bath for more like beauty and aesthetics and things like that, and then inhale hydrogen for something else and take tablets for something else?
Yeah, all forms of administration do make it to a cellular level. So that's a good thing that we can say, hey, I'm taking the bath, but I really want it to help my cells or my mitochondria. Well, don't worry, it's still going to work there as well. But you are right that it's going to have a much stronger and faster effect on the skin and the transdermal. So, for example, psoriasis, we have wonderful results with that. And they say, okay, should I take the tablets? Should I breathe? Or should I do a bath? If you had to choose one, we'd say the bath because it's going to react directly with the skin. And same thing if you have detached retina or macular diseases or issues with the eyes, we would use our accessory, which has goggles, which you could saturate the eyes with the hydrogen gas. So it does react differently in different forms. For respiratory issues, if you have to choose one, absolutely use the inhalation because the gas will touch directly in those the pulmonary tissues and things like that. Water, if you have gut health, liver issues, we would highly recommend hydrogen-rich water because that's where the water affects most, is right in our stomach and then into the liver, which the liver holds the highest amount of hydrogen in the body. So there are different applications for different conditions, but all of them will make it eventually to your cells.
And if I could only use one form of hydrogen, which one would you recommend?
Inhalation, and I'll explain that because, for example, hydrogen-rich water is wonderful, but you can only drink so much water till you're full.
Mm-hmm.
And so with inhalation, you can breathe it in, reach peak saturation levels of hydrogen in the blood, and then but never get full. So you can maintain those peak saturation levels to create the highest amount of effects in the body. You don't smell anything, you don't feel anything. And then so it's a very simple method of administration without ever having to fill the body or fill the stomach with liquid or anything like that.
I also know that time matters because when you look at the hydrogen protocols, it's parts per million or milliliters per certain volume of air times time, especially if you're inhaling hydrogen. And can you talk a bit about that? Because I've heard that you really need to do it for a long time every day. Is that correct?
It depends on the person and where they're at in their toxic load and their health journey. But we have seen with chronic disease, we're talking stage 4 dementia, stage 4 cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, things of that nature. We are seeing that 4 hours to 8 hours a day is provides rapid, serious results in change. Whereas some of our pro athletes we work with and Olympic athletes, they typically need 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 2 times a day. They hit this peak saturation and then it drops off and then they hit it again. They don't really need 4 to 6 hours a day because their body's pretty close to homeostasis. It's really the chronic disease people that need 4, 6, 8 hours a day. And some of our stage 4 lung cancer clients have been given 72 hours to live, and we say run the machine 24 hours. And our machine is actually one of the only, if only, or very few machines that can run 24 hours a day nonstop. And that has actually tremendously extended people's chances of survival in our anecdotal evidence of what we've seen with in the past 3.5 years.
Wow, this is amazing. But I'm thinking, okay, 1 hour a day, twice a day. I'm not a professional athlete, but let's say I'm just doing it for disease prevention and maintenance of health. Then I could do inhalation and do my work or something that I currently do at the same time, right? So you just connect the machine and you keep breathing. Do you feel something while you breathe hydrogen? Does it make you dizzy? Does it make you euphoric? I don't know. I'm just thinking different states that it can produce.
Yeah, it's again, it's such a unique thing, and that's why it's kept my interest for so many years because it's something that is what we say very noticeable, but very subtle. So it's weird thing to try to describe because you're like, I don't know how to put my finger on it. I definitely feel something different. It's very subtle, but yet I know something's different. And a lot of times, it's just mental clarity. And you might not think you have brain fog, and you start breathing the machine, and then you experience this new level of cognition, and you're like, wait, have I had brain fog for the past few years?
Mhm.
And so it's one of those things that you don't realize how bogged down your system was until you try it. Another thing I want to mention that it's an extremely gentle therapy. You're not going to feel a big gust of wind. And people want to feel something. They want to smell something. They want to feel wind. I don't, is it on? It's not working. And they're used to like, a double shot of espresso. And it's like, look, just chill. It's natural. It's not a stimulant. It's not a medicine. Just relax and breathe. And some people say, yeah, I don't really feel too much, but we'll say, okay, let's check your blood work. The blood work doesn't lie. We see your reactive C protein way down. So your oxidative stress greatly dropped. You don't feel it because maybe you're not as tuned into your body. You're not as sensitive to your body. So again, it's one of those things that men typically have a harder time feeling it because we're not as sensitive as a lot of females are. We notice the women population is much more sensitive and they go, I feel this. Wow, I'm feeling, good. They're feeling a bit euphoric. Dizziness is extremely rare to feel. Um, but it is one of those things that we've heard naturally. They say, I don't know if I can't really explain it, but I know I just want to do it more. I know intuitively I want to keep doing this. And so that's something that a lot of people can admit that I don't know what it is, but I love this thing and I want to be hooked up on it. And if you work in front of the desk, you have spend an hour or two reading a book, watching a show. It's a perfect thing to integrate for a very non-invasive therapy that is working as an anti-aging, antioxidant. It's a great proactive and preventative therapy. And you can skip a few days and then hit it again just as a maintenance protocol for people that are already healthy.
That's really good. What I like about hydrogen that it's natural and that it's selective antioxidant. So basically it just not being the antioxidant itself, it's a messenger that
Yeah.
sends a that's why you can't really overdose on it because once you reach the certain point that the molecules that's supposed to react to hydrogen, they'll stop to react, and that's it. Before we move into technology, because technology is very important with anything, but more so with hydrogen. I mean, with hyperbaric chambers, technology is important because it's about safety and comfort. But a hyperbaric chamber is a hyperbaric chamber. They're really nice ones, fancy ones, beautiful ones, really nice to be in. But even if it's not so nice, you're still under pressure and you're getting the benefits. With red light, technology is important, but most of the red light devices do something. Now with hydrogen, it's a different story. So we'll talk about that. Please stay tuned. But before, let's talk about these. These are hydrogen tablets from Axiom H2. That's the company that Matteo developed and has spent his last, I don't know, 10 years more. Matteo, please correct me,
Yeah.
researching, making sure that they have the best products on the market. So I've tried these tablets myself for the past 5 months. I can report that it's a night and day. And excuse me for being, a little, but it is night and day. When I take it, it's a day. When I don't take it, I see such a difference. And you're so right. It's never like 3 espressos. It's very gentle. I take it first thing in the morning and then 15 minutes later. It's almost like the switch in my brain goes on. Also, I'm a much kinder person on a road because I take my daughter to school in the morning and it's an hour drive in horrendous traffic in Madrid nowadays.
Mm.
I'm very kind with these. I don't react
Wow.
to anybody. Um, what is it about these tablets? Because I've tried other tablets. I'm not going to mention any companies because it's not about that, but I just want to know what is it about these particular ones that make me feel like that?
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And it just, this is my passion. And so these are extremely unique.
Hmm.
People ask me, well, the tablets work so well. Why do I need this or this or this? You don't. It's a beautiful, powerful tool that's at a very good price point, and it's something that works. It's something that natural. So to buy a supplement or a vitamin or a mineral that you can feel that works, that's natural, it's becoming more rare these days. And so what makes these so unique, like you said, I have been studying hydrogen close to 13 years now. And about 12 years ago, I started with trying different forms of tablets. And the majority, I would say 98 to 99% of every tablet on the market is a magnesium-based tablet. It dissolves in water as a chemical reaction. And after some time, I said, okay, let me see if we can improve this. And so what we discovered is there's a patented process called dry water. And what it does is we inject hydrogen gas into water. We put it through a laboratory process called dry water. It puts water into microclusters, which looks like powder. And then we take that powder, the microclusters of water with hydrogen in it, we compact it into a honeycomb structure. So that's why we call them solid state hydrogen, because it really is hydrogen in a solid state instead of we're getting hydrogen through a chemical reaction. So our tablets, unlike all the other ones on the market, you actually take it orally, you swallow it down. Don't do this with any other tablet. It's only designed for these tablets. And our stomach is acting as a closed container. So with the heat in our stomach acid, it will start to break down this capsule and release the microclusters of water, and then the hydrogen gets released directly into our stomach lining. All the off gas of hydrogen is collected directly in the stomach, so none of it gets released or escapes, and it starts to immediately fight bad bacteria, help the production of good bacteria, also help saturate and clean our internal organs. One of our clients said he takes the tablets and he said it feels like these scrubby bubbles are cleaning the inside of his organs. And that's the first time I heard that. But that's why I really go with these ones, because you don't have to wait 3-4 minutes to it dissolve in water. You have to get a glass of water, wait for it to dissolve. A lot of people's attention span, you put it in there, you walk off for 5 minutes, you come back, you missed your window because of hydrogen off gases. This is something, like you said, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach for maximum absorption. One capsule, they're each individually wrapped for extra protection. You pop one, swallow it down, and you keep your day moving. So literally, you can have hydrogen therapy within 30 seconds and take this throughout the day. We've had amazing results from reversing erectile dysfunction to, again, this is not medical information. This is just anecdotal sharing experiences, what we've seen. But we've had a case of lupus go away and diminish after 4 months. So autoimmune diseases, we have numerous video testimonials of improving symptoms of autism through children with these. And again, these are 100% natural. We removed any harmful binders that, like titanium dioxide, like why are we putting those in tablets? We don't have any of that. We actually exchange some of the artificial sweeteners with mango steam sweeteners. So we've done little tweaks throughout the years to make these very clean, safe, and any harmful things for pets, we remove those as well. So they are a very powerful tool. And yeah, I take them every morning and we love these. So thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely. Can you give them to dogs? You mentioned pets.
We removed what has been claimed harmful for pets. The research is still growing, so we'd say you can proceed with caution. Maybe start with half a tab before a full tab, but we have removed any harmful ingredients like xylitol that used to be in our original formula. We removed that, and so that was also very harmful for dogs, particularly. So that's not in there. The titanium dioxide's not in there. So the research shows that every ingredient is safe for dogs. Proceed at your own caution because the research is limited, though.
Yeah, it's a pity that the research for animals it's so limited, while
Yeah,
they can take those things and also benefit. These are great. I get really good results with my patients. All kinds of things, weight loss.
yeah,
It does work on mitochondria, and I've been working with mitochondrial health for the past 15 years because hyperbaric, red light, PMA, it all works on mitochondria as well as hydrogen. So you can literally feel that mitochondria goes from inflamed state to sort of healthier state. Even if it's just for one day, because I only took one tablet, but effect is cumulative. I can say
hmm,
that, and we talked about it, Matteo, when we talked last time, when I just started taking those, I went through a really bad burnout from just amount of things that I do, and it's completely separate conversation. But here we are in October, and I'm feeling much better, and at least partially because I'm doing a lot of things, but definitely it's attributed to that. I feel the difference. I also have the hydrogen generator sitting right next to me. And I will try that after we finish this conversation. That was the plan to record a
hmm,
podcast and then record my
yeah,
personal experiences so they're not biased when I talk to you.
right.
But please tell us as a community about these hydrogen generators because hydrogen gas is something more novel to people. A lot of people know about hydrogen tablets or hydrogen water, but hydrogen gas, people almost get scared when they hear that. Can you help us a little bit to introduce this and to raise awareness, why it's good, and how to make sure that you're getting the right amount because it has to do with technology a lot.
Yeah, it's a very I guess a less popular conversation with the hydrogen gas. Breathing in something seems to be more delicate than just drinking some water. And for good reason, because when we breathe in substances, it's going into the lungs and then directly to the bloodstream. So there is reason to proceed with caution. So what I would recommend to people that are new to the hydrogen industry and want to get involved and you're trying to decide what brand and what product, what I've seen is you want a company that's typically been around for some time. It does matter what brand you do. It does matter, the duration, the flow rate, the parts per million. So you really want to find a company that has a good reputation, typically that's been around for a few years, that you can get someone on a phone call that's educated. That's a lot of times people will hide behind an email, hide behind a chat bot where they can look up the information. But when you can talk to someone directly in a video call or voice to voice, you can find out, do they know what they're talking about or not? And
This is
so,
true. This is absolutely true, and not only for hydrogen, by the way. That's
yes,
any supplement actually you get.
correct.
You really want to get a good quality. But with hydrogen gas, what is it in the generator that either makes it produce results or sort of be like an expensive toy on your desk that doesn't give you much benefits?
And so that's going to be partially due to the materials used inside the machine. It's going to have to do with any sensors and are there any tests done? And so those are things that we want to find out is that is there at least a therapeutic amount of gas production, which is minimum 150 milliliters per minute. Then you want to look at is there any gas purity tests done? Is there sensors monitoring gas production? And then does it require any chemicals inside the machine? And so, for example, I've been involved in the industry for 13 years. And a few years ago, I was working with another company. I was helping build the machines. And my background is not in engineering. It's not in building machines, but I did learn it. And then I got to say, stainless steel, interesting. Sounds strong, sounds good. And then I saw that, oh, we're putting in sodium hydroxide, a very harsh chemical to react as like a electrolyte solution to help create more gas to pull from. And so with my ignorance, I thought, okay, this is cool. This is the norm. But as I researched further and looking into the most advanced technology, I realized, wow, stainless steel, a strong material, but not the one we want to be using as a catalyst for what's called the cathode and the anode in the machine. This would be pieces of metal, a positive and a negative, that electricity gets added to separate the molecules in water, H2O. And so 40 years ago, 50 years ago, that was the best technology out there. No one knew anything better. And so that's what they went with. And like water ionizers, electrocuting water to force pH up or down, and typically using that form of technology. But now there's a newer form called proton exchange membrane, which is one of the better forms. And what we use in our machines are USA made, medical grade proton exchange membrane. So for those of you, that's like the engine, right? And so it's one of the highest tested proven engines out there. The specific one we use using titanium and platinum, some very, very expensive forms of metals to create extremely clean medical grade hydrogen at 99.9% purity. And so ours also uses proprietary filtration technology, patent pending technologies. We use UVC light for extra cleaning. What holds their water, which we only require distilled water. And so the cleaner the water you use, the cleaner the hydrogen production you have. So all these things will not be told to you as a consumer. No one's going to teach you these things. That's why I created Axiom H2 to inform and educate you guys to make the best decisions. There's no other company out there is teaching you guys these things. They're not giving you meters. They're not showing you tests. They're just painting this beautiful picture of, hey, natural, safe. There's 2,000 studies helping 170 human diseases and buy. But I really want to educate people with the full story so you guys can go to a different company. You could choose my company, whatever you want. But I want to empower you guys with knowledge from 10 years of studying, try to consolidate it for you guys to make the best choices.
This is a powerful message and quite a mission, actually. I admire that, Matteo, because hydrogen is only going, actually, right before we connected to this call, I saw an email with like my site vision in my email box about the combination of hydrogen and PMF and how hydrogen will become really the thing in the next several years. Because the interest will only grow. And with the interest, as you said, will come many companies who are like a day, or they're here for a day or for a month, to make a big buck, but they don't really care that much about consumers. So maybe they don't know that there's more to it. That brings up the conversation of hydrogen water bottles. So I have a client who lives outside of European Union and not in the US. So one of the countries which may be not as developed at the moment. They had some of your tablets and they've that they sourced from when they were in the US. Anyways, they sent me a message, where can we get those? And we started to look how to deliver. And then they did a quick search on the internet and they've sent me several options with so-called hydrogen water bottles that were ranging from 25 to like 45 euros to maybe 50 euros. So I'm thinking for this amount of money, maybe a little less than that, you can get a bottle of these. But the hydrogen water bottle, just because there's technology, should cost more. So something for 30 euros or 40 euros, which is like 50 US dollars or something like that. Can you actually get the real thing? Or it's just a bottle that makes alkaline water, which is not so good for you, actually.
Well, great point. I'll try to make it short and sweet, but basically, these hydrogen-rich water bottles, the technology has been out for about 10 years. So it's nothing brand new to the world. But what I found, because I done a lot of deep research on water, pH of water, ORP levels, oxidation reduction potential, TDS, total dissolved solids, a lot of different properties of water. So when I understood water better, then I could understand hydrogen better. And like you said, a lot of them, I would say 90 to 95% of the bottles on the market are using outdated technology like electrolysis. And what they're doing is just highly alkalinizing the water, which our stomachs reside around a 2.5 on the pH scale. And so why would we want to drink alkaline water at a 9.5 or a 10? It's literally harmful for us. And when we alkalinize water to high levels, you can have some very small amounts of hydrogen in the water in a very unstable form. But this is what I'd call dirty hydrogen. So could that bottle actually produce hydrogen? Yes. But is it also having a very negative effect of alkaline water? Yes, that's not what we want. So one of the first things you need to check is ask that company, do you have a test in a video you can show me of it not altering the pH, or what is the pH of this water? It will depend on your source water as well, because if your source water is alkaline and then you put it in the hydrogen bottle, it's probably going to come out alkaline as well. So understanding your source water first before you put it in your bottle is one thing. Two is, let's say it's a good bottle that doesn't alkalinize the water. Now they're claiming around 2 ppm of hydrogen. That's excellent. That's not too bad, guys. But another thing we need to be aware about is that clean hydrogen in the sense of any other harmful oxides coming out of the metals that are using for the electrolysis process to separate the H2 from the O. So is it releasing harmful micro amounts of heavy metals? That's the second thing we need to figure out. My business partner said it best to me the other day. He goes, you know what I understand about the bottles? He goes, you get what you pay for. And so we started looking at, and it's true, we started looking at ppm. And for example, they did a really beautiful marketing job. I'm not going to mention the company, but it's one of the most popular bottles out there. Sells for $250, and they claim 7 ppm to 7.8 ppm. So I said, okay, $250 gets you 7 ppm, which is incredible, by the way. So what would $500 get you? Maybe 14 ppm, right? We double the price, double the ppm. Well, our bottle, all of our products are the most prestigious in the world. So we're at the highest price point for a reason, because we created the safest products with the most sensors and the cleanest hydrogen and all these things. Ours retails for $750. You'd think that's astounding. Why would I ever pay that? Well, you're getting up to 25 ppm, and on average, it's 17 and around 20. So if we're looking at $250 gets you 7 ppm, 500 gets you 14 ppm, 750 should get you 21 ppm. So we're right in line with you get what you pay for. But what's more important than that is the duration. Maybe your first month, it's producing 3 ppm, 2 ppm, 7 ppm. But what happens after 4 months, 8 months? That's really where, like, the technology in our bottle has a self-clean feature where we reverse the electrical current, which releases ozone to the membrane, cleans the membrane or descales it, so you're always producing the same amount of hydrogen for the life of the bottle. So I have a call from a practitioner here in Costa Rica, and we've worked with them on and off for a few years, and they said, hey, Matteo, we started getting involved with the bottles, and over the past 6-8 months, we bought 6 bottles from all the best companies in the world that were affordable. She says, honestly, not one bottle works right now. And I can't get a warranty. I can't get anyone on the phone. And so she goes, yours bottles are quite expensive, but now I understand why. Because I know you guys would never offer a product that, 1, doesn't work, 2, won't provide results, and 3, you're actually going to honor warranty and provide the education. I said, you're 100% right. That's why we sit with confidence with our price points of all of our machines, because we use diagnostics to measure that it's actually working, self-clean features, low-level frequency, the most advanced technology in the world for all of our products. And yeah, it's a bit more expensive, but for a reason. You could spend, $200 every few months for a bottle that craps out, another 200 for a bottle that craps out, or one fee for a bottle that works for years and years and years. And so that's what I have to say is that you need to be able to understand the technology behind the bottle. What's the parts per million that they're claiming? Do they have gas analysis with Headspace? It's a specific form of gas analysis to verify the parts per million of the bottle production. A lot of things we dive into, and it's why we work with institution, universities, private government sectors, because all these companies, we don't do any advertisement. We pay for $0 advertisements, but they're finding us to say this is the only legit brand out there. And I don't want to knock any other brands, but I can stand firm that we have the best technology in the world right now. And the results are showing it. But our profits go directly back into our research and development, which for the past 10 months, we've been partnered with one of the top European research and development firms that they actually work directly with the European Space Union. They've developed 5 patents for them. So we literally have aerospace engineers developing our products.
I really like your mission, Matteo, and it's about the mission because otherwise you won't stay in this industry. It's tough, and we all are here because we ultimately want people to be healthier. Now, with quality, with anything, quality, you have to pay for quality. Hyperbaric chambers, you can get cheaper ones, but how long are they going to last? That's another question. Are you getting your hydrogen machine for the clinic? You really need it to be of good quality because you need to keep it running all day long, as opposed to maybe getting something for your home. Now, when you get something for your home, you're doing it for yourself. Really, you really want to get something good that works. But I also think it's important to understand the benefits of hydrogen. And that's where people maybe don't know very well. So thank you for sharing those stories of erectile dysfunction and brain fog. Perimenopause is a big one because women have a lot of brain fog during this transition period. Hydrogen would be amazing. No side effects, no interactions with other medications. So there are many ways we can actually use it and get benefits. Start with tablets. By the way, you can use my discount code. It's DRMasha, and it will give you 10% off for Axiom hydrogen tablets. Well, I'll leave the discount code in the description, but start with tablets. Try them out. That's how I did it. I'm very conservative. Then I'm like, okay, tablets work. Let's move to hydrogen water. Hydrogen water works. What about the gas? Next step. How do I combine it with red light hyperbaric and everything else that I do? And it becomes an integral part of my routine. Maybe not done every day, but I see the results, start recommending it to my clients. My clients like it. They see improvements. I get experience of using it with other people and clients' stories. And that's how we move forward. And before you know it, 5 years later, it's the thing and everybody's using it. Matteo, thank you very much for spending this hour with me and sharing your knowledge, both in technology and in the clinical aspect. I appreciate it. I also appreciate that you're always available for all kinds of questions. As you said, when you call, there's somebody who will answer the phone. It's huge, guys, for anything. So thank you for that. And let's see, maybe we can talk another time, look into more specific benefits, maybe share the stories that you've seen.
Sure, I would love to. I'd be honored to. And thank you, Dr. Masha, for being a fan of Axiom H2, giving us a try and supporting us and helping your patients with that. And so that is our goal and mission, is to focus on just quality product, quality customer service. And we're here for you guys when it makes sense. And we're always honored to speak with people like you. And I can't wait for our next talk. And I'd love to deep dive into, tons of testimonials we have in all types of different conditions, and then to get your feedback on the inhalation machine as you start to dive into that. So thank you so very much, and a big shout out, and thank you for everyone for watching.